Didn't even get the intro in before she's like, nah, I'm out of here. But then she's looking at me like she still wants attention, so. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Eliza and I wanted to do a little book haul with you because I've picked up some really cool books over the last few months and I wanted to talk to you about them. I would love to know what you've been reading or if there's any books you look forward to reading or if you've read any of those and your thoughts. I've picked up a lot of fantasy books as well because I want to be in my fantasy girl era. I loved fantasy as a kid, but I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon of actually reading much fantasy. Let's start off with a little stack of mostly fantasy books that I picked up recently from Sappho Books. Sappho Books is a beautiful cafe and bookshop in Glebe in Sydney. The food is delicious, the atmosphere is chill. It's in a tall, thin building that goes back quite far. So there's actually a lot of books there. And when I was there, I really had to limit myself to how many books I could get. And I say that, but then you'll see the pile I got and you will think, no, Eliza, you did not show restraint. But yes, I did. Starting off with a dark, mysterious fantasy book, which is Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid, which really suits my decor, apparently. For a lot of these books, I'm going to read you a bit about what it says on Storygraph. Their summaries are less spoilery than a lot of blurbs, and I'm not going to read you the complete blurb because you could just read that yourself. I believe there's some horror elements in this too. A gruesome curse, a city in upheaval, a monster with unquenchable appetites. For readers drawn to gothic horror about breaking free from a father's suffocating control, themes of bodily autonomy, appetite, and monstrous transformation. Ideal if you crave brooding, claustrophobic atmospheres, moderate pacing that lingers on dread, and dark fairy tale sensibility with sensual/traumatic edges rather than epic scope or bright magic. So it's sounding dark, which suits me. Nice short standalone fantasy of only 300 pages. From Sappho Books, I also picked up this very interesting Greek myth retelling of the first witch. Well, Circe or this one. I love Greek myth retellings and I love witches. So put them together and you have this next very exciting book from Nikita Gill, which is Hecate or Hecate. I actually never know, but I think based on how we pronounce things like Aphrodite, it's Hecate. This is a proof copy, which is why it has a quote on the front instead of the actual title. In Greek mythology, Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft. I did not grow up knowing about her. She was not someone who was mentioned at all, probably because she's not one of the Olympians. For readers who crave dark, emotional fantasy centered on a fierce goddess claiming her power from trauma and war. Ideal if you like fast-paced poetic retellings with witchy aesthetics, raw rage, and underworld shadows instead of intricate lore or slow burns. This is a young adult, which surprised me. I didn't realize that. This next fantasy is the first in a series. It is Fathom Folk by me, Eliza. I'm just kidding. My last name is not Chan. This is 450 pages. A fantasy world with mermaids. I love mermaids, so I'm really excited to read an actual proper novel with mermaids as opposed to just, I don't know, whatever else I've been reading. Revolution is brewing and tensions are rising like the tides. Woo! For readers drawn to lyrical, adventurous fantasy centered on the clash between oppressed sea dwellers and the humans who tower above them, themes of identity, resistance, and the price of change. Ideal if you enjoy steady pacing, vivid aquatic atmosphere, and character-driven stories that balance wonder with social tension, preferring emotional depth over dense lore. Anything with underwater descriptions I love, so this sounds perf, and actually kind of ties in with one of the other books I picked up, because at Sappho Books there's such a beautiful range of secondhand books, including books on witchcraft, the occult, astrology, and yet more mermaids. I've just started reading this. It is the Mermaid Atlas, with stories from different mythology around the world, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I'm so glad I picked it up. My final book from Sappho Books was actually a gift from my friend Laura, who I went with because I was tossing up which books to buy and which to not. And she was like, actually, do you want this as a belated birthday present? I was like, yes, please. So thank you, Laura. She kindly bought for me this book, Dreams and Destinies, which looks very late 90s, early 2000s. This is actually older than I thought. It's from 1995. The Mysteries of Your Dreams Explained, and has a lot of pictures of random women sleeping. It goes into what are dreams and the different symbolism that can be held within our dreams. Whether you believe that or not, interpreting your dreams can be fun, and life should be about fun, should it not? Some of these illustrations and photos are so dated, but I love it. It's very much giving charmed energy. Look at this hand and this key coming from the sky. Very random, but something you might dream. Discover the true meanings of your dreams. Unlock the symbolism that hides the secrets of your unconscious mind. Improve dream recall. Increase your ability to solve problems. Enhance your creativity. In fact, let this be your guidebook to the possibilities for a more successful life. This book will enable you to explore your dream life to the full. You will find that the clearly marked route through themes and dreams leads you to your own personal interpretation. Start the journey now. It could be the most rewarding one you'll ever make. Those are all my books from Sappho Books. Very fantasy and whimsy heavy. And then recently from a street library, I picked up 2 books. One I've never heard of before, and the other book is a really popular one that I'll start with first, which is Remarkably Bright Creatures. It is literary and supposedly emotional and hopeful fiction, hope core, like all the Japanese cute cat cafe library books that have come out. I'm not sure if it will be my cup of tea. It's about a cleaner at an aquarium who's recently widowed, and she befriends the octopus in one of the tanks. I love animals, and I feel like if this octopus dies, I'm gonna cry. I don't know if that will make me rate the book more highly or harshly. This is really popular. Did it come out in 24, I think? I feel like it was everywhere. When I picked this up, I had the inkling that perhaps I was stepping away from my goals for the year of listening to my own inner knowing of what I want to read or not. That's a really pretentious way of putting it, but those are the words that came out. I guess there's only one way to find out. The other book I picked up that I've never seen anywhere, never heard anything about, but it sounds like it's made for me in some ways really weirdly, is The Broken Book by Sarah Johnson. I don't love people on covers. This cover is not very inspiring. I was drawn to this out of curiosity because I'd never seen or heard of it, didn't recognize the cover, nothing, and when I opened and read the blurb, I was like, hold on. Mirroring truths of art and life, creativity and reality, The Broken Book is, at its heart, the story of a woman's struggle to become the artist she has passionately planned to be. Catherine Elgin grew up in a small coastal town in Australia, desperate to transcend her beginnings and make her mark. From her rebellious and contemplative childhood, Catherine emerges as a stunningly beautiful young woman with a voracious appetite for life's most interesting experiences and an overwhelming desire to write the best book she possibly can. Throughout her life, from Sydney to London to the islands of Greece, Catherine carries the burden of being both siren and artist. I live in Sydney. I grew up in Sydney. I moved to London shortly after graduating uni, and I went to Greece for the first time a few years ago and was obsessed and would love to live there, even though I know Greece is such a varied place. There's so many islands, and I want to see them all. I also have had dreams of being an author and artist. In that blurb, I don't relate to everything about that character, but in terms of where she's been and what she wants to do, yeah, A Fate Inked in Blood, a Taking Liberties Norse myth retelling. The first line we get on the blurb is that this woman, Freya, really wants to kill her husband. So, well, that's a start. She's got a boorish husband she wants to murder. There's a fight to the death, deepest secrets, God's blood, magic, and uniting fractured kingdoms. But even with the fight to the death, apparently, perhaps the greatest test of all may be resisting her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. Because, forget dying, romance will really be the end of you. Wild Dark Shore, which is a literary thriller. It's about a man and his 3 children who live on a very isolated island not far from Antarctica, and they are the last living inhabitants, or at least human inhabitants, living there. In the aftermath of a storm, someone gets washed up on their shores. Are they alive? Are they dead? I'm not going to tell you. I read the blurb and kind of regret it, so I'm going to give you the non-spoilery kind of version because sometimes blurbs give too much away. So if you want to know more, go look it up. Again, like Remarkably Bright Creatures, this I have only seen people review online saying it's great, but I haven't actually had a conversation with anyone who has read this book. Similarly to God of the Woods last year, I think this won some kind of book award and again is more literary with thriller than straight up thriller. There's going to be mysteries to solve and I don't know if everyone is trustworthy according to this blurb. This is my hand that I did not break last year. This is the one I broke last year, so that's probably just as well, isn't it? Thanks for watching my book haul. Like and subscribe for more bookish content from me, including when I actually read these books. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.